Hey there, comedy fans. Welcome to My First Joke, the podcast where we dive into the hilarious stories of how comedians got their start. I'm your host, Karim Kanji. Today, I'm joined by comedian Rebecca Reeds. Today's episode is brought to you by welcome to travel.ca. If you're looking for the best and most affordable, all-inclusive trips for you and your crew, check out welcome to travel.ca today. Tell them I sent you. All right. Don't forget to subscribe to My First Joke wherever you listen to podcasts. If you enjoy what you hear, share it with your friends, leave a review, and hit us with those 5 stars. It really helps the show grow. And if you want to stay in the loop, follow me on Instagram at Karim Kanji. All right, let's get into it. Here's my conversation with Rebecca Reeds. Rebecca, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and listen, right off the top, thank you so much for the class that you taught us. I learned
Oh,
a ton.
hilarious. Well, they pay me for that, to be fair.
So
They
okay,
do
so I'm
pay
not
me
going to
to
thank
do
you for
that.
that. Um, but listen, let me ask you this: how did you get started in stand up? Was there something that inspired you, or was it on a dare? How did you get started?
Oh, almost like I dared myself. I was in an improv troupe first. So I went to Carleton in Ottawa,
Okay,
and they just like it was just like a recreationally. I was part of the Carleton Improv Association. And I quickly learned that I don't think I'm good in a group. I don't think because my mind gets stuck on the funny thing that I wanted to say and I can't like move past it. I get like a mental block.
yeah.
So then I ended up actually dropping out of Carleton. Although I think I dropped out after I started doing comedy and decided that's everything I wanted to do. So
Okay.
I was doing this improv troupe and I don't know, the group just kind of disbanded and things kind of fell apart and then they got a new group and it just wasn't really for me. And I was like, but I need a creative outlet. I need something to do.
Yeah.
And I started working at Absolute Comedy in Ottawa because I also
Oh,
really needed
okay.
a job. And I was like, oh, I really wanted to try stand up. This would be a really cool place to work at. So I could figure out kind of like how to get on stage. And I would pick all of the headliners' brains and go, oh, why'd you do that? Or what was that thing?
Ah,
Which was awesome. And then I worked there for, I don't know, I was working there for like 6 months, maybe 8 months. And finally, I asked my friend, I was like, can you take me to a show that's not here? I really want to try comedy, but I do not want to do it here. This sounds like because then I knew everybody. I was like, I
yeah.
know all the comedians in Ottawa. I know all the people that work here. I don't want to do this here. So my friend drove me to the Comedy Nest in Montreal to try my first set and prepped me the whole way up. He was so great, like really just kind of, ran down everything that happens when you're nervous and what to do about it. And I did my first set and the second I this is so insane to me, but the second I got off stage, I knew I was going to do it for the rest of my life. I didn't know
Oh,
in which capacity or how. I just knew I was going to do it for the rest of my life. I was like, this is the most addictive thing I've ever done. I love it. I love it. I love it. And then I never looked back.
so was it addictive? Like when you get, I don't know if you got a tattoo, but I remember getting my tattoo and being in pain and hating that. But as soon as it was done, it was like, yeah, I'm going to get another one. Was it
Ew.
painful and you wanted to do it again? Like what was it that was so addictive?
I mean, parts of it was definitely painful. There's no
Yeah.
question about that. Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, it was my first set ever. It was rough. Okay. Especially because I didn't go to a class or anything. I just started throwing out things, being like, I think this is funny. I think this is funny. Um, you know what was cool for me? The show was really hard. So
Oh,
notoriously, absolute comedy is a really, really easy space to perform in, and it is. So I had watched people be really successful at this thing I wanted to try. and then going to a room because it was also like the Comedy Nest like open mic. Like it was like I think it was like a Monday
Okay.
or a Tuesday or something like that.
Fair.
So it was a really tough group of people, and I watched comics that I had seen before do really well and bomb. And I was like, oh my God. And I got up there and I got a couple of laughs and I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh, actually, for this room, I did well. I couldn't believe it. And then I got off
Yeah.
stage and my friend looked at me and he was like, oh, I forgot to mention one of the other things that happens when you're nervous is you can talk louder because I had only been doing improv. The concept of a microphone had just like not fallen upon me. So I
Ah.
screamed my whole set. So I think some of those laughs were coming from people being like, what the fuck is wrong with this lady? Like, she's fucking screaming at us. And I think a bit of it was more they were laughing at me than with me, but it was still as addictive.
Fine.
And I think just getting like that response, like having people laugh at you is so addictive. I was
Yeah.
immediately like, oh my God, I love this. This is so fun. I have agency over every single thing I said. And I also think I'm a bit of a like adrenaline junkie, maybe like things that
Okay.
I'm fearful about. I want to pursue more because I get such an elevated state from it where just like feeling my heart pumping like that is just really, I get it. I love it.
Wow. By the way, what were you studying at Carleton?
I was going to be an accountant. Oh my God. Could not be more far off.
That's
Good
hilarious.
Christ. Yeah, I just
That's
really
a
like math. And I thought there was going to be
fine.
more math, and there really isn't. There's not a lot of math in accounting. It's mostly rules, and I don't like rules. So that was problematic.
Wow. That is amazing. Now, do you remember your first joke or one of your early jokes?
I do. I remember the first thing I said on stage. I remember that because the other thing my friend told, which is another such a funny fucking thing that happened. My friend kept telling me, he goes, "Remember your first line. All you have to," because I was freaking out on the way up. I was having like this real big fight or flight response, and I was like, "I'm not gonna be able to do this. I'm not gonna be able to do this." And he's like, "Just remember your first line. If you say your first
Yes.
line right, you'll be fine." And the only thing I really fucked up was my first line. Like I can't even remember how I fucked it. I just completely flubbed it. But the first concept I presented on stage, and you know what's so funny? I don't think I ever said it again on stage, which is so funny. Was about how they make condoms ribbed for her pleasure but not thicker for her pleasure, and I think they should. And so it was just gotta be, I don't know, like dick shaming people, I guess. I don't know. Oh my God. I feel like your first joke is always kind of like what you think people will find funny and not what you find funny, which is interesting.
Yeah, yeah, that is interesting. But you're right about remembering your first line. That was like me, like right up until like when we did our showcase, I'm going for a second there, like what do I start with? Like, oh yeah, shoot, I forgot.
Mm,
And then I remembered, I go, yeah, I just need to if I remember that, everything follows that first line.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Because you
yeah.
also don't, if you don't know your first line, and it was kind of fine for me because I just flubbed it a bit, like I kind of stumbled over it, but then recovered. I think the key piece of advice there is mostly not that you have to nail your first line, but you got to know what it is so you don't start meandering on stage and lose all your juice. You know what I mean? Like
Mm,
some people go on stage and they start walking around their premise, or they start going, so how's everybody doing today? But they keep going on that note of just like, okay, I'm trying to build some energy up here. And it's like, no, if you just go into your thing, they'll trust you. You just have to go into it immediately and be
yeah,
like business time when you get up there.
that is awesome. I have to tell you this. I can't remember if I told you the day of the showcase. You had told us don't rehearse, don't practice the day of. You're not going to remember anything.
Yeah. You're too
I I was
nervous.
I was going to ignore your advice, but I couldn't find my notebook that day. I couldn't find it. I'm
That's
like,
great.
I looked everywhere for it. Obviously, I found it 2 days later, but I couldn't find it at all,
Mm.
which was interesting. Um,
And guess who had a great set?
was it okay?
Oh, shut up. It was great.
Was it? Well, I had too many friends and family there that supported me, so I don't
Mm.
know whether it was any good, if that makes sense.
Wow, such a comic. Can't even take a compliment. Just like, wow, there was other things going on. Of course, everybody's there. They love me. Just take the W. Just take
Fair,
the win, buddy.
fair. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, there
Let
you
me ask
go.
you, how long have you been doing comedy now?
Oh, somewhere I think 13 years would be my
Wow.
guess. That would be my guess. Maybe 14. I've kind of stopped keeping track. Like some people
Yeah.
really wear it like a badge of honor. And I think other people, like myself included, sometimes we're like, oh, I've been doing this for so long. Should I be further along? Should I have these things? Should I have that thing? I'm like,
Ah.
I just don't even like, I feel like some people use it as some sort of weird metric to determine where you should be. And I'm like, no, I don't
Mm.
know, man. Like, I've seen people get it immediately when they step on stage. They know exactly what makes them funny. They get it. They're locked into it. I've seen people, it took me like 5 years to figure out what my voice needed to be. It took me forever to get to
Okay.
an end goal where I was like, oh, this feels really good. I know what I'm doing on stage. I feel very confident on stage. It took me a while. And I think that's okay. Like, I don't think we need to, start thinking about things like, oh, if I've been doing it for 20 years, I have to have these certain notches. It's like, well,
Yeah.
no, everybody, it takes everybody a different amount of time to do everything.
Fair. So tell me, you said you found your voice after maybe 5 years or your style. How has your
Mhm.
style evolved from when you not your first set, but when you first started
Yeah.
to now?
Well, number one, I just think I'm way more myself. Like, I just think I am,
Okay.
it's less performative. It's less, what do you guys want to hear? And it's more what I want to say, which is great. I also just think I'm maybe a little angrier. Like, I'm a
Oh
little more
wow.
aggressive. Like, I dig in a little more on stage. Whereas before I just seemed like I think the difference is that I was just unsure. Like I was unsure before and I'm sure now.
Mm,
So even if an audience doesn't really like something, I can always still pull a few things out of it because I believe I'm a funny person. And having that belief just kind of helps you lock into a firmer, more authentic version of yourself.
confidence. Interesting. Okay. Um,
Yeah, totally.
when you talked about it, just before I asked you this question about, not keeping track. But let me ask you this. When did you first feel like you made it?
I don't know if I've ever had that feeling. Or no, you
Okay.
know what? Okay. I actually no, you know what? I do have one moment and I don't know if it's like a made it feeling. I've had
Okay.
moments where I'm like, "Oh, I feel like I've surpassed some of my wildest expectations."
Yeah.
But the problem is your expectations always go up as you go
Sure.
along.
Yeah.
So like when I first started, I could never imagine myself like headlining at a club. And now I headline at clubs and I'm like, yeah, I would love to get like a theater tour. Like it's just like you keep moving the goalpost.
Yeah.
But I would say one of my favorite moments where I was like, wow, this is really something. I got to open for Fortune Feimster at
Wow.
Massey Hall. And afterwards, and I just like, it was just such an amazing time. I felt like I had a really great set, but then just watching Fortune do her thing, she was absolutely amazing. It's just such a nice and beautiful person, like really, really a beautiful person. But
Yeah.
afterwards, we were going backstage and Arnold Schwarzenegger was hanging out.
What?
I literally, I gotta tell you, I've never in my life, have I ever gasped at the presence of a person. Like it literally like took the wind out of me to see him. I was like, I beg your pardon, because and as much as like I just love Arnold, but like I'm telling you, like Predator is my top 5 all-time favorite movies. I watch Predator at least once a year. Okay,
Oh
it's one of my
wow.
all-time favorite
Okay.
movies. I see this man, I start freaking out, but I also want to be chill. Like I'm like, I gotta step back. I gotta be
It's
chill.
only Arnold.
Don't encroach on this. I was like, I don't want to be like, I want to act like I belong here. You know what I mean? Like I'm supposed to be here because
Yeah.
Fortune and Arnold were filming a show at the same time. So like the whole cast and crew were there.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and I had no idea, which was so funny because Fortune kept talking about Arnold, this, Arnold, that before the show started. And I kept thinking, I was like, who is this? Who is
Who is
this
the?
old man and why is he so who is that? But I didn't, I was too nervous about the show to inquire as to who she was talking about. I was like, I don't know who you're talking about. Anyway, but whatever. I was just so focused on my set, I didn't even ask. So then I see him, and Fortune was so but well, first of all, this guy was so cool. Arnold had a couple of people with him, and like they took a bunch of photos together and all this kind of stuff. But then one of the guys looked at me and he was like, "Oh my god, you were on the show! You were so funny!" And then Arnold looks at me and he goes, "Oh my god, yeah, you were." He just goes, "Oh yeah, you were so funny." And then he goes, "Would you like to take some pictures?" And I was like, "Are you? Has anyone ever said no to that? Are you kidding me?" And then Fortune got me the dopest pictures of me and Arnold, and I think that's like the height. That's like the coolest thing. That's the coolest thing I've ever done. I was like, that was the sickest moment of my entire life. Like I could have flown home. Like I could have flown home. There was no higher feeling than that. I was like,
Wow.
I'm done. I'm good.
That is awesome. Yeah. Now, how does that happen? Like, does Fortune call you? Do her people call you? Like, how does that happen?
So, their management like puts out like feelers of like local kind of who they
Okay.
want, and then some producers or managers will kind of message back and be like, okay, these are the people that I think would be good for that. You know, the funny thing is, the guy that messaged me for it, I was having such a like crazy week that week that I didn't even send him in a video. He was like, they're looking for videos from everybody. I didn't even send in a video. I didn't even respond to the email. I was like, I was just having such a crazy week that I was like, I actually cannot mentally look at anything right now. I cannot figure out what video I'm going to send in. I'm just going to fuck it. I missed this opportunity and screw it. And I guess they had just found me online and was like, yeah, that's actually the vibe we're looking for. So we're going to book her anyway.
That's hilarious. You, you
Oh
didn't
my God. I
even want
almost
the
got in my
gig.
own way so bad.
Oh my
How does
goodness.
that happen? How does that happen? That's not good.
That is
Because
amazing.
it was the greatest gig of my life. It was the greatest gig I've ever had.
Wow, that is good. Um, Rebecca, this has been a fun chat. Thank you so much for joining us. Listen, before I let you go, where can people find you online? Where's the best place for them to go?
You can follow me at Rebecca Reeds, REBECCAREEDS on any platform of your choosing. You can also check out my podcast. I host a podcast called The Villain Was Right, where we look at movies, TV shows, and argue for the villain. And if you're a nerd like I am also on a D&D podcast called Comedians in Dungeons Getting Dragons, and it's
Yeah, of
unhinged and
course.
it's magical and it's a lot of fun. Yeah, that's where you can check me out.
That is awesome. Everyone, thanks for tuning in to this episode of My First Joke. I hope you had as much fun listening as I had chatting with Rebecca. If you enjoyed the show, subscribe to My First Joke wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Share it with your friends and take a moment to rate, review, and five-star the podcast. The website is myfirstjoke.ca. My name is Kareem. Until next time, remember.
You don't really have to answer that email.
Thank you, Rebecca.
No problem, buddy. This was a lot of fun.